Phelon Moore manufactured motorcycles in Cleckheaton, Yorkshire, England from 1904 to 1967, particularly those under the Panther marque. They became identified with one particular design of motorcycle which had a large sloping 40-degree single-cylinder engine as a stress member of the frame. This design spanned the entire history of the company, starting with a 500cc model and ending with a 645cc model. The sloping stress member concept was patented in 1900 by Joah Carver Phelon and his nephew Harry Rayner. Phelon and Rayner made the first chain-driven motorcycle in 1900. They could not afford to put their first bike into production, so sold the design to Humber for royalties, and that design was produced by Humber till 1907. After Harry Rayner died in a car accident, Joah Phelon went into partnership with Joah Moore. Phelon & Moore was established in 1904, and their motorcycles were branded as P&M. The 1905 P&M featured an inclined single-cylinder four-stroke engine as a stress member in the frame with two-speed gear and chain drive to the rear wheel, it being the first completely chain-driven motorcycle. P&M motorcycles competed in the first International 6 Days Trial in 1913. 3 P&M motorcycles competed in the 1914 Aqua 6 Days Trial, all 3.5 horsepower solo models. In July 1914, P&M revealed details of their prototype 90-degree V-twin, their first deviation from the single-cylinder motorcycles for which they were well known. When the V-twin was launched in November 1914, it featured a 4-speed gear and was of 770cc, rated as 6 horsepower. It appears only a handful of the twin were built, though it appeared in catalogues until 1916. The 4-speed gear arrangement used on the V-twins was reintroduced for the single in 1922, and at the same time the engine capacity was increased from 499cc to 555cc. This was the last model to carry the P&M name, later models being branded as Panther. The Royal Flying Corps used P&M motorcycles during the First World War, keeping P&M busy throughout the conflict. P&M were also selected as the suppliers when the RAC added sidecars to their range of vehicles in 1922. The first Panther was launched in 1924, but the Phelon & Moore name was not dropped until somewhere around 1929. In 1932, the Panther Model 100, an OHV 600cc single, was launched, and this was produced through to the 60s, ending its run as the 645cc Panther Model 120 of 1967. This line of Panthers was the most famous of all Phelon & Moore models. These heavyweight big single-cylinder slopers were often described as firing once every lamp post due to their slow RPM. Promoted as the perfected motorcycle, they were noted for innovation for most of their history. Panthers were often used for hauling sidecars, a role in which the high torque output of a high-capacity single-cylinder engine with its large flywheels was well suited, but the popularity of sidecar outfits eventually waned. The combination of the advent of cheap cars and the collapse of the British motorcycle industry brought production to an end. They are simple and fairly robust machines which inspire enormous enthusiasm in their owners. These factors, combined with relatively low cost, have resulted in a fair number of Panthers being still in use. Phelon & Moore also produced a range of lightweight machines, also generally carrying the name Panther or Red Panther, using their own 4-stroke single engines and Villiers 2-stroke engines. The Red Panther was famous for being the cheapest complete bike available in the 30s, priced at a fraction under a circumflex £30. In 1934, a 250cc Red Panther won the Maud's Trophy. During the scooter boom of the late 1950s, P&M imported a scooter and moped from French manufacturer Terret, which were plagued with troubles. This gave P&M the chance to develop their own scooter, the Panther Princess, but this was not a success, and helped bring about the demise of P&M as motorcycle manufacturers. The receiver was called in 1962 and production staggered on until 1966.